Chapter 4, Defining Your Vision. In this chapter, we are going to talk about something that sounds simple on the surface, but it affects almost every major decision in the project, your vision. Now, when most people hear the word vision, they immediately think about design. They think about inspiration photos, about layouts, Pinterest boards, modern kitchens, luxury bathrooms, beautiful ADUs, and yes, design absolutely matters. But your project vision needs to go much deeper than aesthetics, because if the vision is unclear, the project usually becomes unclear also. And when the project is unclear, budgets drift, decisions become emotional, bids become inconsistent, and construction becomes reactive. That is why defining the vision properly is one of the most important things you can do before construction begins. Most owners start with images, not clarity. One thing I see constantly is owners collecting inspiration before they define the purpose of the project. They save photos, watch YouTube videos, walk model homes, scroll social media, and they start building a visual idea of what they want. But here's the problem. A beautiful image does not automatically create a clear project, because the real question is not just, what do you want it to look like? The deeper question is, what is this project actually supposed to accomplish? That changes everything, because a project designed for resale is different from a project designed for long-term family living. An ADU built for rental income is different from an ADU built for aging parents. A luxury remodel is different from a strategic value-add investment. The clearer the purpose becomes, the easier it becomes to make smart decisions later. Your project needs a primary goal. One of the first things I encourage owners to do is identify the primary goal of the project. Not 10 goals, the primary one. Because most projects have competing priorities. For example, an owner may want luxury finishes, but also a tight budget. Maximum square footage, but also a fast timeline. High-end design, but also minimal disruption. Those goals can compete with each other. That is why defining priorities matters. You need to know what matters most. Is this project primarily about lifestyle improvement, rental income, property value, family needs, flexibility, resale, business use, long-term investment, comfort? Because once you know the real goal, the project becomes easier to guide. The danger of vague vision. Vague vision creates vague decisions. And vague decisions create expensive construction. I'll give you an example. An owner says, I want a nice kitchen. Okay, but what does nice actually mean? To one person, that may mean simple and functional. To another person, that may mean luxury, custom cabinetry, integrated appliances, premium stone, designer lighting, and high-end finishes. Those are two very different budgets. This is why vague language creates problems in construction. Words like nice, modern, high-end, simple, luxury, open concept, custom, turnkey, beautiful, those words mean different things to different people. And if expectations are not clarified early, the project starts drifting later. That is why specific clarity matters so much. Must-haves versus nice-to-haves. One of the smartest exercises owners can do early is separate the project into categories: must-haves, should-haves, and nice-to-haves. This changes the entire project dynamic, because during construction, there will almost always be moments where trade-off appears. Budget pressure, schedule pressure, unexpected conditions, and when those moments happen, owners without clear priorities tend to make emotional decisions in real time. But owners who already clarify what matters most usually stay calmer, because they already know what they are protecting. For example, maybe the must-have is keeping the project within budget. Maybe it is maximizing rental income, or it could be creating long-term family flexibility. Maybe it is preserving architectural character or minimizing disruption. Whatever it is, the project decisions should support that priority. Why owners change their minds during construction. A lot of owners worry about making mistakes during planning. Changing your mind during construction is one of the biggest causes of budget drift and stress. And usually it happens because the original vision was never fully clarified. The owner starts seeing things physically for the first time. Now walls are framed, spaces feel real, selections become tangible, and suddenly they realize this is not what I pictured. So now changes begin. Layouts change, finishes change, lighting changes, materials change, and each change affects something else. That is why slowing down during the vision phase matters. Not because you need every little detail finalized, but because major direction should feel clear before construction starts. Your project should match your life. This is something people do not talk about enough. Your project should fit your actual lifestyle and long-term goals, not just trends, not just social media, not just what someone else built. I have seen many people overspend chasing aesthetics that did not actually improve the way they lived. And I have seen simple projects create incredible long-term value because the vision was strategic and intentional. So before moving forward, ask yourself, how do I actually want this space to function? How do I want this property to support my life? What matters most long-term? What will still matter 5 or even 10 years from now? Those questions create much stronger projects than simply chasing trends. The vision should match the budget. This part is important. Your vision and your budget need to align honestly, and sometimes they do not at first. This is normal, but avoiding that conversation early creates problems later. One of the hardest things in construction is when the owner has a luxury vision with a mid-range budget, or when the design evolves far beyond the original financial plan. That is why realistic conversations matter early, not to kill the vision, but to shape it strategically. Sometimes the answer is simplifying scope, phasing the project. Sometimes it is adjusting finish levels. Sometimes it is increasing the investment intentionally. But whatever it is, the sooner vision and budget become aligned, the healthier the project becomes. Emotional decisions versus strategic decisions. One thing I always encourage owners to watch carefully is emotional decision making. Construction naturally creates emotional moments, especially when owners start seeing beautiful possibilities. And there is nothing wrong with wanting beautiful spaces, but strategic owners stay connected to the larger project goals. They ask, does this decision support the purpose of the project? Does this align with the budget? Does this improve long-term value? Is this worth the cost increase? Will this matter long-term? That mindset changes everything because now decisions are being filtered through strategy instead of impulse. Defining success before construction starts. This is one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself before you build. What would make this project successful for me? Not for social media, not for neighbors, not for trends, for you. Would success mean finishing on budget, creating passive income, having more space for family, increasing property value, reducing stress, building long-term flexibility, creating peace of mind? The clearer success becomes, the easier it becomes to guide decisions through the project because construction will constantly present options. And if success is unclear, every option starts competing emotionally. What good vision clarity feels like. Good vision clarity usually feels calm, not frantic. You understand the direction of the project. You understand the priorities, what matters most. You know where flexibility exists. You know what the project is trying to accomplish. That does not mean every finish has already been selected, but the foundation feels stable. That stability becomes extremely valuable once construction starts moving quickly. Final thought. The one thing I want you to remember from this chapter is that a clear vision creates better decisions. The more clearly you define the purpose of the project before construction begins, the easier it becomes to align budget, scope, design, and expectations later. Before you build walls, build clarity around why the project exists in the first place. That clarity becomes the foundation for everything else. Thank you for listening to Before You Build It. If you want additional planning tools, project resources, or guidance for your own project, visit goeasyproject.com/before-you-build-it. And if you are preparing for an ADU, remodel, addition, rebuild, or another major construction project, you can also schedule a complimentary project strategy session there.